And yes, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Sorry, Petra, still can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
there
can
you're
you?
back. You're back
Oh,
now.
thank goodness, something is beeping in my background. I have no idea what it is. But well, okay, here we are. Sorry for that weird start. But welcome to today's Grow Your Visibility workshop with Seema. And Seema is going to work with us today on ChatGPT, how you can empower your business with ChatGPT, and especially for our group, obviously, on online visibility. So, hi, Seema. I'm really pleased that you are here with us today. And let's please just introduce yourself to my audience.
Thanks, Petra. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Hi, everyone. I'm Seema. I'm based in India, and I am not a ChatGPT expert. I want to put that out there right in the beginning because I want to let you guys know that I'm just like you. I am a business owner. I have a course creation agency. So that's really what my full-time job is. I've been working in the online course and instructional design space since 2005. And I've been online designing courses and curriculum for people since 2009. And a couple of months ago, I went down this ChatGPT rabbit hole and decided initially, and I will talk about this in my presentation, initially I was like, this is horrible. This is the worst thing that could happen to the internet since, I don't know, whatever happened, Y2K. And so I went through that whole experience and those feelings, but then I started to teach myself more about ChatGPT, and I started to understand how we can, as normal business owners and people who may not be as techy as some people are, we can use it to become more visible, to make business tasks easier, to grow our business, and to really do the things that we're meant to be doing in our business. So that's why I'm very excited about talking about ChatGPT.
Yeah, it is an amazing development because at first I must say, and I think that a lot of business owners have this at this moment, kind of reluctant saying, but isn't this going to take up all my work and there will be no more work left for us? But I think that's a misconception. I think ChatGPT is a wonderful tool, but it's still us, the business owners, who need to use it. So and I think the program, the week with ChatGPT that you did a while ago, that's how I met Seema. We were in the same Facebook group of a biz friend that we have in common, and that was a really interesting take on working with ChatGPT. Instead of having a course in which you explain how things work, it was just a week following Seema on what she was doing with ChatGPT. So that was a really great idea. And I think it's a wonderful tool that we all should use to make everything so much more, so much quicker and more effective. So I'm happy to dive in.
Okay, awesome.
Emma is saying hello, love using Chat GPT now. Yeah.
Hi, Emma. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's really wonderful tool. So I'm happy to dive in with you, Seema.
Awesome. So let me go ahead and share my presentation. Okay. I'll probably need you to help me with, okay, 1 second. Let me just share the entire screen so that if we toggle between things, people can see that. Let me know if you can see my presentation.
Yeah, we see everything around it as well, but
yeah, I'm going to put it in presenter mode. So that just means that I won't be able to see the chat as easily, but I can always minimize in between and take any questions if needed. All right, can you see my screen?
yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So let's quickly dive in and talk about ChatGPT and how it is a game changer for your online business. So I have a few things that I'd like to cover. Number one is, what is ChatGPT and why are people so excited about it? Because AI is not new. So why are people so excited about this particular tool? And if you put in ChatGPT into Google, you'll see that the monthly search volume is insane. There's tons of YouTube videos about ChatGPT, tons of blog posts about ChatGPT. If you go to, we don't have TikTok in India, but if you go to Instagram stories and reels, everyone's doing something around ChatGPT. And so, quick definition, I thought the easiest way to tell you what ChatGPT is to ask ChatGPT. And so it is essentially artificial intelligence. It's an artificial intelligence language model, and it generates human-like responses in a conversational way. So that's really what is super exciting about it. Plus, it's open source. That means that anyone can build applications on top of it or tools on top of it, and it kind of trains and learns from itself, which is really interesting. It's like a self-learning model. So the reason that I think that it's blowing everybody's minds is because while AI isn't new, chatting isn't new. You know, I feel like I'm dating myself by saying that I was around when things like AOL chat rooms and ICQ chat and Google chat were like the things. And of course, now we have messenger bots and things like that. But so AI isn't new, chatting is new, but this combination of artificial intelligence plus chatting, that's what's new. And so that's, I think, what's gotten everybody so excited, because if you can have a conversation, you can basically use ChatGPT. I've been seeing posts on Facebook from people saying, oh, my grandmother can use ChatGPT. And I'm like, that's true. Like literally, even the most non-techie person who has trouble navigating Google or YouTube or Pinterest, those people find it easy to use ChatGPT because it's so clean and so easy to use that. So I think from that perspective, that's what's getting everyone really excited, but it's also getting everybody really scared as well. And so before we go forward in this, Petra, I just wanted to cover any like a couple of logistic issues in terms of how to sign up for ChatGPT, just in case anybody hasn't done so right now. So if you haven't already signed up, you want to head over to chat.openai.com. I will say, make sure that you use this link. I had somebody that bought my week with ChatGPT, and she just Googled ChatGPT, and it took her to some kind of paid application that was using sponsored posts on Google. And so she signed up for it, and she was like, hey, is it $47 a month? And I was like, no, it's free. So you want to make sure that you go to this website. Sometimes people have trouble logging in the first time or registering themselves. And so if that's an issue for you, try it on different browsers or on different devices. So, try it on Safari or Chrome. I had luck the first time. I used it on my phone, which is what a lot of people say. For some reason, logging in on mobile is a lot easier. And so you can try logging in there. Another tip that I have is, it's typically the busiest once the US wakes up. So anything after maybe like 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so if you really are having a hard time registering yourself and signing up for the first time, then maybe try to get in on non-peak time. So if you're in Europe, it's probably easier to get in. I'm in India, so it's actually really easy to get in, and it works really fast for me until probably this time in the evening. And that's when it starts to slow down, because this is when the US starts to wake up and everybody starts logging in. Majority of users, I think, are in North America. And then, of course, once you're in, if you really do have an issue with the speed, you can always upgrade to premium. So I personally don't have an issue with speed because of the times that I use it. But if I did, I'd upgrade in a heartbeat. It's $20 a month. So any questions that we have so far, Petra, in the chat, if you can help me out with that.
Yeah, no, there are no questions in the chat, and it's good that you bring that up, because everybody is free to put up any questions. We will pick them up during the live, and at the end we will do Q&A as well, and we'll use some of your examples. So feel free to ask for examples for your business.
Yes, exactly. So if we've budgeted about an hour for this presentation, so we will definitely have time for Q&A at the end, and also to play with your own business examples as well. So the question everybody asks me is AI coming for my job? Is it going to replace me? And everyone goes through this. Everyone asks me things like, I was this person too. I'm like, is it going to outwrite me? Is it going to outthink me, outcreate me, outcoach me, or outme me? Like, is it going to be better? are people going to want to stop? I charge fairly premium prices for my curriculum development. And I was like, are people going to stop hiring an instructional designer because ChatGPT can write course creation for you, can write curriculum for you? But this is kind of what I feel is the journey with ChatGPT. So this is something that I created. It's like what I call the 6 stages of embracing ChatGPT. And I feel like we all go through this stage, which is like, no way, AI can't do that. It's not possible. AI is never going to replace humans. Then we go into like disbelief, which is like, AI can't do what I do. I'm unique. I'm a special snowflake. There's no way it can do what I do. Then we start playing with ChatGPT, and then we have like this moment of panic, which is like, oh my God, that's it. Nobody's ever going to want to hire me again. ChatGPT is just going to replace me. And then I think as you slowly start playing and you educate yourself, you kind of go through these stages of curiosity, advocacy, and then love, which is, I wonder if this works. Let me try it out. Let me see what the fuss is about. And then you slowly fall in love with ChatGPT. And then here's where I am. I'm in stage 6, which is I'm like, this tool is amazing. And I want to tell everybody that I can about it. So if you're in any of the prior stages, just know that this is a journey and it's absolutely fine. I started with AI, no way. AI is the future. It's never going to replace course creation. And then it went from ignorance to disbelief to panic to curiosity to love to advocacy. So just know wherever you are in this journey, it's absolutely okay. And just education is really the way forward. So I will tell you this, that ChatGPT, no matter what work you do, whether you are a copywriter, a visibility coach like Petra, a course curriculum designer like me, a blogger, influencer, it doesn't matter what you do. You still need to be there to make ChatGPT work. So even though it is great for things like idea generation, research, making decisions, taking care of your busy work, overcoming writer's block, it still is just a tool, and it still needs you to operate that tool. And if you think of it as a tool, then you will understand that it's one of those things that can help you be more effective, be more focused. I say that it can help you be more profitable because it can help you produce more content. And so you get results faster for yourself and for your business. But also if you're like many of us small business owners, then you probably just have 1 or 2 people, if at all, in your team. And so it really does help you with becoming profitable faster because it almost functions as an assistant, copywriter, email marketer, coach, consultant. It saves you money and so many roles that you might have paid for without the help of ChatGPT. So I want you to think about that as a tool, and also know that this is probably the tip of the iceberg when it comes to things that AI are doing and are being developed for now. So it seems like every day there's somebody talking about the hot new app. So just know that whatever it is that you do in your business, there's probably at some point going to be an app that's going to help you do it quicker and faster. So just be open to the possibilities. So whether there's tools like Midjourney that can create images for you and amazing images for you. There's something called, I think it was Chat Transcript or Chat something, that Castomatic or Cast Magic or something that people are talking about, which is great for transcripts. There's an app called Beautiful.ai, which is amazing for presentations. There's something that I saw, which is ChatGPT plus video production. I've seen them for writing and blog posts. Jasper has been around. And then, so there's always a tool coming up. So if none of these tools made any sense to you right now, it doesn't matter. Just keep in mind that while ChatGPT is the tool that we're focusing on in this presentation, just know you're going to be seeing a lot of AI tools coming up in the market. So don't go out and buy every single one of them. Just be selective in what you buy and be open to the fact that they can help you get your work done. So I now really just want to jump in and share with you guys some of the ways that I've used ChatGPT in my business. Petra mentioned that I had this really cool experiment that I did in March, which was I decided to almost do like a diary journal, diary/journal entry of me using ChatGPT in my business for an entire week from Monday to Sunday. And what I did was every time I would log into my computer, I would write down what I was working on, and then I would document what I was using ChatGPT for, including the prompts that I was putting in, and then also the output that I was getting and any dialogue that I was having in it. And the reason that I did this was it was a great product idea that our common friend Lizzie gave me. And I said, this would be fun to do an experiment and see how it goes. And even if no one buys it, it's fine, but it'll be fun to do this. But B, I just wanted to have that experience of using ChatGPT consistently in my business. And so this held me accountable to doing that. And at the end of the week, I was surprised. I thought it was going to be like maybe 20, 30 pages, not a lot of stuff. Now, maybe one or two people would buy, but it ended up being 165 pages long. I think I have over 100 use cases in there across different categories, which I'm going to like touch upon in this presentation. And then we've had about 300 people buy that. So it really blew my mind that, number one, there was so much potential to use ChatGPT in my business. And it just made some tasks that I hated doing really easy. And then the second thing was, it's so easy for other people to follow along as you're doing something and get ideas for their own business. So a lot of people bought this out of curiosity. And then the comments that I got when people bought it was, this was great because it acted like a tool for us to jump off and start exploring ChatGPT on our own and creating our own prompts, and to see how you were doing it helped us model and do it for ourselves. And I think that's what the takeaway is for me with ChatGPT, with all of the experiments I've done, is that yes, you can buy prompts from people, and some people do a really good job with prompts, but knowing how to write your own prompts and knowing how to interact with the tool is probably the biggest takeaway that you can take from this presentation. Not to repeat takeaway so many times, but that's what I wanted to really touch upon. Okay, so a few cases, use cases around using ChatGPT, and I'm just going to put this list up for you, but I'll highlight a few things and tell you like a couple of stories. So in my week, I actually wasn't, strangely enough, that week I wasn't doing any curriculum design work. So my focus of that week really was creating a couple of presentations for some guest trainings that I was doing, and then actually creating the sales page and sales assets for the product. So it was kind of like I was launching and writing and creating the product simultaneously. So it was really fun for me to like go through that process and not just use it for curriculum development, but to use it for the other things in my business that I actually struggle with because they're not in my zone of genius. So things like naming a presentation, which would take me hours, was like a 1 minute thing with ChatGPT. Naming products, which again is something I personally always struggle with. Giving me product ideas, which is not something I actually struggle with, but I just wanted to see if it would do a good job on that. A couple of ways that I really liked using this. I did this for a client's website who has a ton of blog posts, and I just copied in her blog post into ChatGPT, and I said, give me 5 ideas for content upgrades that we could create for this blog post, because she has probably over 150 blogs on her website, but no content upgrades. And so it was so easy to plug this in, and it would give me really good ideas based on her blog posts for content upgrades that we could create. And I thought that was amazing because it just made that process so easy. Even if I was doing this as a consulting project for a client, I would have used ChatGPT as a tool. I would have told her and used ChatGPT as a tool and actually selected the right blog post and then go into creation mode. So you still need to execute for somebody, which is why I wanted to talk about the fact you still need a human, because I would still have to execute this project for a client. I just wouldn't physically be reading and trying to figure out the content upgrade for each of the blog posts myself. So that's what I think makes it such an amazing tool. Sorry, just 1 second. I just need to check something. Okay. The other thing that I really, really liked was if you have a lot of content that you have created, could be YouTube videos or podcasts or blog posts, like in the case of this client. Another way that I played with using ChatGPT here was I had a list of her products, and I basically asked ChatGPT, here's the blog post, here's her list of products. Can you tell me which product makes the most sense to plug into this blog post? So I found that to be such a valuable tool as well, because it made putting in links to her products into her content also super easy. And it really just created like little funnels in stuff that she had already created. So it was, again, not more than a day's worth of work, but it was super valuable to the client. So for people that are like offering VIP days, or you do some kind of consulting work, ChatGPT is actually amazing if you do work like that, because you can use it to like speed up the work that you're doing with clients, but you still have to do the work, but you can use it as a way to like help you get to that result much faster. The other way that I thought it was very cool is asking it questions about things I didn't know a lot about. Like I wanted to create an affiliate promotion package for my product. I've never done that before. I have no products around that. And so before ChatGPT, I would have gone to Google or YouTube and tried to look this information up, or I would have looked for a course or product to buy and then wasted a lot of time going through that. All I did was ask ChatGPT, what should I include in an affiliate promotion package? It gave me a list of ideas. I added a couple of ideas of my own, and then I just built that out. So it really took me almost like a couple of hours to build this promotion package, which actually came out really nice and very professional in my opinion. And versus something that probably if I had been left to my own devices, I would have either spent a couple of weeks doing this, or I would have actually lost interest in the project and not done it at all. So the fact that I got so much done in the week really blew my mind. When people saw this, people actually messaged me and said, I can't believe you had such a productive week. And I was like, I actually can't believe I had such a productive week either, because I made such a conscious effort of using ChatGPT to do everything, but I still didn't work extra hours compared to what I usually work. I worked a few extra hours, but not that many extra hours. And I have a 1-year-old and I was juggling that. And so it's not like I had a lot of time to be doing this, but somehow it just made me more productive. So I wanted to share that experience with you guys as well. Another way that you could use this is to give you a marketing plan. So if you have something that you want to promote or you want to talk about, you can ask ChatGPT to give you a 1-year marketing plan for a specific product, and then break it down for you into 90-day plans, and then subsequently weekly plans, or even day-by-day plans. So lots of ways that you can use ChatGPT as your own business coach without having to pay for somebody else to do this for you, or to be in a big membership or a group to get these ideas from somebody. Petra, I'll stop here for a second and see if anybody has any questions about using ChatGPT as a business coach, or if you have anything that you want to comment and share as well about this.
Emma had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend any Chrome extensions to use with ChatGPT? Some more technical question.
I haven't added any, to be honest, Emma. I know that there's a big list. I know there's Brittany Long, who runs the AI Copy Club or something. She always has recommendations, but I personally get overwhelmed with a lot of things in my browser, and I only add things when I really feel the need for it. And personally, I haven't felt the need to add anything. I did add like the something that allows you to copy your ChatGPT chats easier or save them, but I've honestly never used it. So I can't even remember the name of that extension because I haven't used it at all. So I don't really have any serious recommendations for you around any extensions. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, and actually I tried one, and apparently it was the exact one that gave a virus into your computer.
Oh.
So I quickly uninstalled it, and I was like, no more Chrome extensions for me, because it's as there are so many, as you say, it's the perfect opportunity to have your whole computer messed up. So I didn't use it, and if ever you want to use one, make sure that you check that it's safe.
Exactly. And it's, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And I just put up a remark for everybody, anything that pops in your minds that you could use it for in your business. So if anybody feel free to share in the chat what you would like to use it for.
Exactly, that would be great. So the other way that I personally, so social media marketing is the bane of my existence, to be honest. It's like the thing that I get excited about because there's idea creation involved, but I hate actually executing on it because it takes so much time, and I just really don't enjoy the process very much. And so I definitely had a lot of luck using ChatGPT for social media marketing. So I found it really good for things like creating carousel posts, writing headlines, like hooks for social media, the things that I personally struggle with are not coming up with what should I post, but actually doing the grunt work around social media work, which is like writing the actual caption. I hate looking for hashtags. I hate doing things like adding emoticons, even though I know it looks cool and it increases engagement. I hate adding emoticons to captions. Like that just takes so much time, in my opinion. And those are things that I feel ChatGPT just does so well. And then it makes it so easy then to be on top of your social media marketing effort and your work. So these are some of the ways that I played with it in that week. I asked it for hashtags. It was pretty good with that. You still have to verify these things, but it gives you a fairly good list to start with. So if you're lazy and you just want to get some hashtags out there, it does a pretty good job. And then you can always work on adding more hashtags later. I also found it was pretty okay when it came to things like repurposing content into social media. So again, this is where you're using yourself as a source of truth for ChatGPT. So you're not asking it to write 10. I know we have Sally here who's like into aromatherapy. So you're not saying write me 10 posts on the benefits of peppermint oil. You could ask it to do that, but it's going to probably give you some generic information. However, maybe you have a blog post on the benefits of peppermint essential oil. And so you can tell ChatGPT, here's my blog post. Give me 3 carousels based on this. Give me 10 social media captions based on this. And so it can repurpose your work for you very effectively. So again, this saves you money because in an old world, you would hire a virtual assistant or a social media person to do this for you. And here you can spend 20 minutes, take your content and repurpose it and create all of your social media stuff in a weekend. So this is one of the reasons that I think it's such a game changer. Not to knock what virtual assistants do, there's still a place for them, but it really does help with a lot of the work that we hate doing, but we have to do in our businesses. So things like rewriting posts, giving you a promotion plan. So I also asked it, like, I'm having this launch. I want to promote it on social media. I want to do 3 posts a day, a mix of carousel posts and Instagram stories. So give me an idea or a plan for posts that I can use and on Instagram. And so it did that for me. So it said, day 1, here's like the 3 posts to do. Here, day 2, here's what you can do. And so I really found that also very useful. Again, in the past, I would have Googled this information. I would have gone into my course graveyard to see, have I bought a course on Instagram marketing and launching and how to do social media stuff? Let me go look for that. Then I would watch the course. And so again, it's not easy for me. So I would have probably dropped the ball in it. So this really helped me get a lot of stuff done that usually I would just not do because I don't know how to do it, or it's too much effort or friction for me to actually do it. A couple of places that I did feel it failed, and so this is where I want to say you still need a human element, is things like I asked it to look up quotes for me because it's not Google. It gave me 10 quotes, but they were actually not quotes that I could find on the internet. So when I put the quote back in with the person who said it into Google to see what the context was, I couldn't find those quotes. And so it's not great at always pulling information that exists. So you do have to know your stuff before you can post it into the world. However, when I asked it for original quotes, it actually did a really good job with that. So it was able to like give me original quotes about a topic, which again, I went back to Google and verified that nobody else had said that. But you have to verify a few things before you start using them, because sometimes it will unintentionally infringe on other people's IP or copyright. So you have to be careful about that. So, but in terms of things like give me ideas for posts, give me images that I can use, I think it does a really good job with social media marketing. Petra, any comments or anything that you would use it for social media, or any questions that you have around how could you use this with social media?
Well, first of all, the questions of our people. This is a question from Anna Espina, if I say that right. For what you are saying, I guess it, but in case, I'm a fashion designer and most of my time us in the making. Although I live to write my posts, I don't find time, ideas to write blogs, extra posts, etc. in a second language. That's why it's the extra time. Do you think ChatGPT could make my marketing easier? Yeah, so basically...
I think people have posted, I don't actually speak any second languages fluently, so I've never experimented with this, but I know people have said that it actually does a really good job at translation as well. So it's something that if you have a hard time writing posts in one language, but you find it easier in another language, it can actually help you with that. So it does a fairly good job at translation. You just have to make sure that you like double check that to make sure that it's not saying something odd or weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have said that it's quite accurate at translating.
Yeah, I've used it myself for French posts as well, and honestly, yeah, it worked really, really well. So, as you said, you need to check it, of course, but my results were really good. Then a question from Kathy. Do you use exactly what ChatGPT generates or modify it to make it your own? And what is your approach to that? Reason I ask is that the US Copyright Office has issued a new policy that what is generated by AI cannot be copyrighted.
Yeah, so that is definitely a limitation of ChatGPT's, that you can't copyright it. But that's, I do have a process in here, but I'll share it here as well. Is personally, I put in the prompt. Actually, before I put in a prompt, I always prep ChatGPT. So I always try to tell it something like, hey, I'm a curriculum designer who works with online business owners, typically between the ages of 30 and 55, who are female, who live in North America. And their goal is to build an online course or digital product that makes them between 5 and 10K a month passively. So, and then I'll ask it, do you understand? And it says something like, yeah, I do. Or I'll ask it, like, give me a thumbs up if you understand. And so I like to prep it before I start talking to it. And then I tell it things like, behave like an expert instructional designer. If I'm writing copy, I'll say, behave like a world-class copywriter or a expert copywriter. So I prep ChatGPT a little bit before I start using it. And then once I get the prompts out, I very rarely, especially for publishing reasons, if I'm sending like an internal email to my list or to students, I don't tweak as much. But if I am putting it on a blog post or Instagram, I try to make sure that I personalize it as much as possible, but I also personalize as part of the prompt. So one of the things that I do, especially when I write things like emails or blog posts, I don't just say, I know I've seen a lot of people do this where they'll be like, hey, give me an idea for a blog post for places to visit in Paris, low cost, low budget places to visit in Paris. Give me an outline, and it will give an outline. And then they'll say, write the post. I don't use it that way. So how I do it is I write the outline and I will write down, okay, here's like my bullet points of things that I want to cover. So, and that's why I say you have to be an expert. So I will write like, here's how you use transcripts in online courses. And I would write the 5 benefits of transcripts in bullet points, the 6 ways you can create transcripts, the 9 tools that I recommend, and then here's a template that you can download. And then I'll take that and I'll put that in ChatGPT as a prompt, and I'll say, now turn this into a blog post, and here's my audience, here's my style, and make it fun, make it friendly, make it like relatable. And then it spits it out, and then I'll edit it to match my tone and what I want to say. And sometimes it will say things that I'm like, I don't agree with that. And so I will tweak it. So I don't really use it. I don't use it to like write blank copy, if that makes sense. I always give it my own foundation to work from before I tweak it. So even if I'm doing social media posts, I will say like, here's a carousel I want to write. Here's like the 10 things I want to cover. Now turn this into a 10-slide carousel for me. So it has my original IP that it's working from. It's just making me sound better, and it's doing it faster than I could do if I was writing it myself, because sometimes it's not as easy for me to write as it is for me to like brain dump or speak something out. So I hope that answered your question and makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think that that is exactly where we can show ourselves as the experts. Because if you see in some courses, as you say, they just give prompts for people to be able to create a course on whatever topic. But I think you really need to be the expert in order to get ChatGPT to spit out really good stuff.
Yeah.
So another question from Karen, I think. Yes, Karen, saying, can you give it a photo and a topic and ask for a matching caption, a hashtag, and music?
There was somebody that said you could do that. There's a plugin or something that allows you to do that with ChatGPT. I think the new version of ChatGPT that I haven't played with, which is GPT-4, allows you to upload an image and ask it for a caption. But personally, I haven't used that as yet. So I can't comment to that, but I know that you can actually now with some of the tools, you can upload a photo and say, give me a caption around this. I'm not sure about the music, to be honest, but I definitely know that you can put in a picture and say, generate a caption for me. I think it is the new GPT-4 model that has come out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And who is this? It's known to make things up. Yeah, I think that is
Yes.
about what you said earlier, that you need to verify the facts.
It is a very confident bullshitter, to pardon my French, but it is a very confident bullshitter. It will give you information and you'll be like, that sounds amazingly true. If you don't know that it is or not, then it's going to be a problem. So that's why I would say use it to make your work easier, but don't be like, oh, now that I have ChatGPT, I can become a blog writer for somebody who does fashion design. I cannot write on fashion design. I don't know enough about it. So I would not be able to take this on and use ChatGPT to do that for me without having the client be the source of truth first before I actually plug that in.
Yeah. And a great remark from Kathy, it does. And your IP then becomes part of ChatGPT's database for use by anyone else. Does that concern you?
Personally, no, because I love the tool so much that I think it's amazing to be able to use it that way. But there is a way around that. So you can actually, if you go to the OpenAI website, not the ChatGPT, don't sign up for ChatGPT, but you can actually sign up to buy tokens on the back end. And then you can add ChatGPT to Google Sheets and Google Docs and use it there. And there is a way that you can send in, there's a form that you can fill out and say, I don't want my information being included. And so it doesn't include anything that you create in there. So an example, I can show this to you, but we haven't created anything here, but I can show this to you in a second. So it's an extension that has been added. So I have GPT for Sheets and Docs here, and it will go ahead and if I enable it, it'll go ahead and use ChatGPT in the background for me. And I can do this in Google Docs, Google Sheets, I think maybe Google Slides. I haven't tried it there, but I know for sure Sheets and Docs, you can use this here. And then anything that I create here is not included in the training of ChatGPT. So it is completely secret. But honestly, if it's going to be on the internet eventually, I don't mind so much that it's learning from me. So it's okay. That's my personal take on it.
That is really useful information. Yeah, so that's it for now for the questions.
Okay. Someone asked me the tech of doing this. I learned it from somebody else, but it was pretty easy to do. You do have to pay for this on the back end, but it's very cheap. Like I think writing maybe like 14,000 words or something is 10 cents. So it really isn't very expensive to pay for the tokens on the back end, but it's not free like ChatGPT is. Once I play around more with that, maybe I will tell you guys how to do that and like build your own little apps. But there's a lot in terms of this AI rabbit hole. And it really is a rabbit hole. Like you can spend weeks, months learning everything, and then somebody will come and change something and create something new out of it. So as of now, however, I think ChatGPT is here to stay. So I think it's worth learning how to use and get comfortable with this first. And then you can decide how much more you want to experiment and how further down this rabbit hole you want to go. So for email marketing, which is another thing I hate, things that I hate doing is things like writing subject lines. ChatGPT is actually very good for things like writing subject lines, turning bullet points into an email, giving you ideas for emails. Not so good at writing emails in your own tone and voice, but you can customize it. So if you give it bullet points, it actually does a really good job of it. I found it very good for writing sections of emails. So if I put in, and that's where I personally struggle. So that's what I'm saying. Find out the things that you struggle with and use ChatGPT for that. So while it's pretty easy for me to write the body of an email, I struggle very much with writing opening paragraphs, conclusion paragraphs, and then subject lines. And so that's what I primarily use ChatGPT for when I'm writing my emails. I write the body of my email, super easy. And then I get stuck and I'm like, how do I introduce this? And then I just paste that email into ChatGPT and say, give me an opening paragraph. Here's my demographic. It gives me an opening paragraph. Give me a closing paragraph and give me 10 subject lines. And then that makes writing my email and sending it so much easier because those three things take me the most time compared to like actually writing down my email, which doesn't take me a lot of time at all because I'm very confident about that. I'm just not confident about the copywriting structures of introduction and conclusion and like making it interesting. So I really found it helpful to do those things with ChatGPT. So again, it's really about identifying where do you get stuck and wish that you could hire somebody to help you, and see if ChatGPT can actually be that person that can help you do that thing. So it was also very good for things like student emails. So when I wanted to email people in my course and say, hey, I'd like your feedback on something, or I have a bonus for you, or I'd love for you to like go in and sign up for me. Affiliate program. It was very good for like those kind of emails, especially because those were not sales emails for me. Those are students that are already in my course. So there wasn't a lot of pressure to make them super interesting or click worthy or anything like that. But interestingly enough, I actually have a whole presentation that I did on debriefing my launch with ChatGPT and how I used it. A lot of the emails that I used to ChatGPT to write had probably like 30-40% click-through rates. Of course, they are to students, so they did open them. But in terms of my open rates, I would say, not click-through rates, sorry, open rates. In terms of my open rates, both to my list and to my students, ChatGPT did not negatively affect my open rates at all. In fact, I would say that probably was a little bit better when I used ChatGPT to write my subject lines as compared to when I did it. And then for student emails, it actually killed it. And I had like a 40-50% open rate for my student emails. So did a really good job for writing for email marketing for me personally. So I was very happy with the results of that. So that's also something that you want to look at when you're using ChatGPT is, don't just be like, I'm going to use it and it's better than me. So you actually want to look at that. And so I said, yes, I used it to write like 6 emails, but were they actually better emails than what I would have written? So I went back into ActiveCampaign and I looked at my emails that I had sent and I said, oh, well, this is my average open rate. And with ChatGPT, it actually didn't go down. And so in fact, in a couple of places, it was higher. And so it's as good as me, sometimes better than me. So I can keep using it for email marketing. But if I had gone in there and seen, oh my goodness, my email rates were so much better, I would probably stop using ChatGPT for email marketing, or I would find a way to get better at my prompts. So you want to also match what you're doing to data to make sure that it's actually doing a better job than you. So don't be like, it's faster, so it has to be better. It doesn't necessarily have to be better than you. So make sure that you're comparing your work with ChatGPT's and making a decision based on that. So I'll stop here for a second, Petra, and see if anyone has any comments or questions. And also get some water. Petra, you there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Forgot that I was muted. So Priscilla is giving you a compliment, actually. She says, I like using ChatGPT for quick ideas, but this training is great, so I can plan long term. So
thank you very much. That is such a great feedback. And that's my whole idea with this training, is to just give you idea sparks, just get your brain working in ways that you can use ChatGPT in different things. I will tell you my most fun thing that I use ChatGPT for. I do have it on the slide, but I'll segue here and say the most fun thing I used ChatGPT for during the entire week was to plan my son's first birthday party. And it was a task that I was dreading because it was his first birthday, and there's lots of pressure and you want it to be perfect. And I was like, this is going to be awful. I'm going to spend like days doing this. And start to finish, I kid you not, it took me an hour to get the whole thing done. ChatGPT helped me pick a theme. It gave me decoration ideas, which was the part that I would have struggled with. It gave me ideas for outfits that he could wear, gifts for him, favorite ideas, activity ideas, a menu, drink ideas, drink recipes, like everything. And I was literally done with a project plan and a shopping list within an hour. And his birthday party it was so easy to organize the birthday party and to put everything together. I was like, this is like the easiest party that I have ever planned, thanks to ChatGPT. And it actually came out really well. And we had a very small, just family only celebration, but the pictures were amazing. And I was like, I would have never come up with this theme or these ideas for decorations on my own. So I really loved it. And it was easy to like ask it for things like, I was like, I want to get a cake, but I want to decorate the cake myself. So give me ideas. The theme I picked was safari. And so I was like, give me ideas on how I can decorate the cake. And so it gave me ideas like, oh, you can put a Jeep, you know, like a little Jeep on the cake. You can like put little leaves around it. And I was like, I would have never thought of that because I have zero baking skills, zero decoration skills when it comes to cakes. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. I can get the cake from outside from the place I want to get it from. And then I found like these leaves on Amazon that you can put on the cake, edible leaves. I bought those. I bought a little Jeep. I bought the little candle, and I was done. I was like, that's this cake is done. So it was super easy to like plan the entire thing. So thinking of out of the box ways to use ChatGPT is really fun as well. And so using it for these kind of things is a fun exercise. You can also use, of course, I think this is the way that most people talk about ChatGPT is using it as a copywriter because copywriters are expensive and it's really hard to do copywriting. But I personally didn't find that it did a super good job on a sales page. I did use it to write my sales page, but we went back and forth a lot. And I still feel like you need to have some kind of template or process to work from and then write your sales page versus just asking ChatGPT to give you a sales page. So I really had to go up and down with it on a lot of different things. I had to like dig through and find a sales page template for myself and then use that with ChatGPT. So in some cases, it is really useful to have recipes or a process in place that you can use with ChatGPT. And this is, I think, one of those places where you're like, hey, if don't just say, give me a headline. If you have headline formulas that you maybe have paid to learn about in a course, or you've bought a template, or you've bought some kind of training on writing sales pages, then put that into ChatGPT and say, here's, you know, like this is the headline formula. Give me 10 options for this product, and then see what ChatGPT gives you. So it does kind of like that idea generation and writing part really well, but you still have to give it fairly good and clear directions in order to get something that you're satisfied with. So personally, sales page for me, as of now, I've used it twice or thrice for sales pages. I'm still not happy with the way ChatGPT writes sales pages. So I would not replace a copywriter anytime soon with ChatGPT for sales pages. It was great for things like writing me a disclaimer. I said, give me a funny disclaimer. It gave me a really funny one. I liked that. Giving me a blurb, it was good with that. Rewriting my about page, it was okay. It was fine. Turning bullet points into a sales page, it was actually better at that than writing a sales page from scratch. Giving me things like graphic ideas, giving me product angles, creating affiliate promotion content. It was good with things like that. It was also fun to experiment with writing in people's tones and people's voices. So you can ask ChatGPT, like, write in the style of Laura Belgray and write me an email in that style and see what it comes up with. I'm not sure how much Laura would agree with this. So funny story, she actually did buy my week with ChatGPT. She hasn't told me what she thought about that comment yet, or I don't know if she's reached that in the document, but I did ask it to rewrite an email in her style, but I don't think she would have written it that way. I think she would have done a much better job. However, if you really admire somebody's writing style, you could ask it to write in that person's tone and voice and see what you get. I would say use somebody unexpected. So I've seen people say we've used like characters from TV shows or characters from movies that you love. That I think is probably better than using somebody who is, you know, already a person in the online world writing or selling something. So rather than doing that, write maybe in the style of, you know, like Bugs Bunny or one of the Golden Girls or a politician that you admire, but don't really write in the voice of like an actual person that exists. Maybe don't do a politician. Maybe just, you know, stick to fictional characters that ChatGPT can mimic. So that's copywriting. So that's my take on copywriting. And then this is also another place that I really enjoyed using ChatGPT because I hate things like formatting. So it was very good at like remove bullet points or add emoticons, put this into a table. I really hate adding emoticons to things. I think it takes so much time to do that. ChatGPT does it in a minute. So it's so easy now for me to add emoticons to things, which I think has become quite normal in the online space when you're writing. Breaking tasks down into micro tasks. So like, here's what I need to do. break it down into like the smallest possible task. It was good at things like that. So creating project plans, taking a list of tasks and creating a schedule from that or project plan from that. It was actually fairly good at behaving like my assistant. So I enjoyed using ChatGPT as an assistant. It was also very good at things like summarizing a blog post, not summarizing it to create content, but summarizing it just for you to get the gist of it. It was okay at that. Summarizing a transcript, also okay at that. A friend of mine said, ask it to give you compliments. It actually is surprisingly good at giving compliments and making you feel better. It was terrible at math. So I asked it to calculate how many people would I need to sign up for my lead magnet if I wanted to make a certain number of sales. And I gave it the standard conversion rates that we follow online. And it gave me the most ridiculous number. And so it really wasn't very good at math. And so at least that was my experience with it. So I don't think it was good at that, but it was very good at things like organizing a list into categories. So I had all of the prompts that I created, I put them into a list and I was like, now put this whole list into categories for me. So it was very good at like categorizing things and clubbing them together. So things that honestly you could do, you could pay somebody to do. It'll take you time to do it. It'll take you time to give instructions to somebody to do it. And then you still have to pay them. It's a minute, 2 minutes worth of work in ChatGPT. So I really enjoy using ChatGPT almost as like my little sidekick or assistant as I'm going through the day. So these are a few things that I really enjoyed using it for. Another cool way that I used it, I said, I have Calendly, which is a calendar booking system. And I want to actually set up different types of calls for my business. And then I told it a little bit about my business. I said, I have an online business. I typically do things like free coffee dates with other business owners. I have client calls, which are like updates or project related stuff, which are free. And then I have paid calls. And then I have like longer VIP days, which are like 3-hour calls. And so give me a way to like set up my Calendly for all of these types of calls. So give me a list of like 6 or 8 types of calls that I could create in Calendly and then have those links available. So it was useful because I could do this. I could think about it myself, but it was just like 1 minute's worth of work with ChatGPT versus me sitting down with a pen and paper and spending like 10, 20 minutes going through this part. So it's also good at some of like those little like strategy things that you would like work with an assistant on, but it can do that for you as well. So I really like that. It's good at like things like give me a folder structure for a project that I'm doing and here's what the project is about. So if you tell it what the project is about, it'll tell you what folders to create. So those like little things that you have to do in your business and then it like becomes a big task, not a little task, even though it is a little task. ChatGPT is really good for those things. And then, of course, the personal things. I told you about the birthday party. It also gave me a workout plan, which was pretty decent. I actually lost like a kilo. I want to give you the equivalent of that, like a pound and a half. So like half a kilo following this for a week, which wasn't bad. It essentially just said, I gave it my meal plan. I told it how much I eat and what I do. And it said, just make sure you burn 250 calories a day as a workout. And so that's all I tweaked in my day. And I actually lost weight. So I thought that was useful. And I know a lot of people have actually used ChatGPT to create really detailed workout plans. There's a ton of people that have documented that on the internet. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check it out. And then my sister-in-law was applying for a job and she had like a very badly formatted resume. And so I used ChatGPT to reformat her resume and then rewrite it. And she used that and she ended up getting a job offer in a week. So I don't think ChatGPT did that because she's actually very well qualified as a doctor, but it definitely helped with, giving her a very professional looking resume and helping her like position herself as a person of authority when she was going for an interview. So that again was a task that honestly would have taken me a long time and took me probably 20 minutes to do and like cut, copy, paste her resume into ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it for me. And so that really was, again, something that was an effortless task, but had a nice high payoff on the personal front. So those are all of the ways that I have used ChatGPT in my business. Aside from the course stuff. Now, honestly, I have lots of ways that I use ChatGPT with curriculum design. I just didn't document this because I'm working on a product. And so I want to like see if that works out. But my niece who lives with us, my husband's niece who lives with us, she had something that she was studying on waste management. It was so boring. And I was like, there has to be a way to make this interesting. So I said, okay, how would I teach this to her if it was more practical and project based? And it gave me a really good plan to teach her this topic. And I thought that was, if I had to do that on my own as a curriculum designer, I would have come up with pretty much the same thing. So I was very impressed with that. And then I really liked a few things that it helped me with, like creating a survey for students. I've incorporated into a program that I'm currently running with students, and I've added in ChatGPT prompts to help them actually do the tasks easier. And I've gotten really good feedback on that. So I'm still working on how we can use this as course creators, but there's a lot of potential without replacing me, an instructional designer, but there's still a lot of potential to use ChatGPT from a course creation standpoint. So those are all the use cases I have, Petra. So before we move on to the next question, I'd love to see if we have any questions or comments or anything anybody would like to share around ChatGPT and their experience with ChatGPT.
No, I think you're great. You're very clear, and there are no questions on this. So
awesome. Okay, so I'll keep going then. Okay, so here's my process. I've talked about this already, but I just want to reiterate it, which is make sure you prep ChatGPT. So tell it, and some people are like, oh, if you continue a chat with ChatGPT, it forgets. It remembers. No, it's actually very forgetful, in my opinion. At least my ChatGPT is very forgetful. And even within a conversation, sometimes it will forget the context, and I'll have to go back and remind it and be like, hey, this is the audience that we're talking about, and this is how you're supposed to be writing it. So it kind of does forget things. So you have to keep prepping it as you're kind of going back and forth with it. Definitely work on your prompts. I think they are important. So having a process and following that process when you're going through and writing those prompts is important. Like with the sales page example, rather than saying, just give me a sales page, break it up and say, here's like the different headline formulas. Here's my product. Here's who it's for. Can you give me 10 headlines based on this formula? And it will do a much better job versus if you say, here's my person, here's my product. Now give me 10 headlines for my sales page. It will still give you headlines, but it won't be as personalized or as strong a prompt as if you do some of the work. And again, if you do some things in your business over and over again, create your own like prompt recipes and store them somewhere and keep using them over and over again. Like I have a recipe saying add emoticons to this or break this up into categories. So I'll use those over and over again. So create like your short list of prompts for things that you're doing over and over again in your business. And then don't forget to personalize. So personalize by adding things like giving it as much content as you can when you're giving it the prompt. So rather than saying, here is a blog post, give me a blog post on X, say, give me a blog post on X, here's an outline, here's some bullet points, turn this into an outline for me, and then write that blog post for me. So give it really as much personalization as possible, both during the process of when you're dropping the prompts in, and then after it generates content, you still have to read it and edit it and make it your own as much as you can. So make sure that you kind of go back and forth with it. It's not like one of those things where you just drop something in, it pops it out, and then you cut, copy, paste, and you get on with your day. It does take a little bit of back and forth with it. It is a conversation. You have to do some work to make sure that it hears you, it understands you, and that it gives you the output that you're looking for. So keep that in mind. And then a few other things, which is, it is not Google. It is not meant for research. Research for you. Like if you ask it a question like, give me 10 uses for peppermint essential oil, it will give you 10 very believable uses for it, but it's not Google. So those may or may not be accurate uses for peppermint oil. So you have to double check anything that you're not sure about. It is not good for things like quotes, calculations, stuff like that. My opinion, not very good with that. September 2021 is the cutoff date for it. So it will not give you, it is constantly learning, but this is where it is kind of updated till. So if you ask it, like people have said, if we ask it like who owns Twitter, it's not going to say Elon Musk. Or if you ask it for something that's current event related, it's not going to give you very accurate information. It will give you an answer because it's very confident. And so it will give you an answer, but it will probably not be the right answer. So just make sure that you know that when you're asking it for information that's related to things that you're not sure about. And then when it comes to copyright, just remember that there's still, like, somebody just commented and said that the US Copyright Office has issued a notice. And so there is different things coming out all the time, and this will keep updating. So again, don't ask it to like create your framework for you and then copy that framework and be like, this is my framework, I own this IP. You don't. Take your framework and ask ChatGPT to do some work for you, but don't ask it to create things for you that you're going to be like, now I own this, because chances are you don't. So make sure that you kind of keep that in mind as you're creating things, that whatever you're creating with ChatGPT, it should be more of a tool than as something that's doing the work for you, because you may not own the copyrights to that. So just be mindful of that. And then from a next step perspective, and then we'll go into Q&A and play with ChatGPT if we want. Petra's going to drop in the link to this product. It's $9. But if you do want to see all of the use cases that I've talked about, and then like the back and forth, the prompts that I use, the responses, and my thoughts, then make sure that you grab my week with ChatGPT, and it will really give you a really good insight into how to play with this tool at a deeper level, but also like how to model what I've done for your own business and for things that you want to do with ChatGPT. Okay, let me close this and come back to StreamYard and stop sharing now for a second. All right, here we are. I'm back.
I love that tip about making your shortlist. I didn't think of that, so it's true that I keep typing stuff. Such a useful tip, and it's a small tip, but it really is very effective. So yeah, we have one question. How would anyone know if copyright is mine or ChatGPT?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it depends on what you're using it for. Like I said, one of the things that I think is big in the online space is like frameworks. So people are like, give me, if I said, give me a framework for how to create an online course, and I asked ChatGPT to do that, it's probably going to give me a framework, and it's going to name it for me and all of those things. It's probably not going to be mine, because it's not come from my brain. However, maybe I have the steps already and I just want to help it name the steps. So maybe I'll ask it for synonyms for the names and like put that together. And then that, I think, would be more mine versus ChatGPT. So I think it's a gray area, to be very honest. But again, pick up things that ChatGPT gives you, check it in Google, maybe check it in like patent off, like especially with names, you do want to like go to trademark, the trademark website or like the copyright website and like double check those things. And just know that it's probably pulling some of those things from elsewhere. So one tip that I gave my students is when you use ChatGPT to ask you to give you product names, it typically will generate a main name and then like a tagline. And so I tell them to do like mix and match. Like don't use exactly what ChatGPT gives you, modify it before you use it. And then it's most likely going to be original versus something that ChatGPT is like regenerated off the internet. It does say that it's not regurgitating information, but it does like modify it slightly. So you want to be careful of that. There are also tools. There are tons of AI checker tools. If you like Google that and say AI copyright or AI copy check, you can just drop in your text in there and it will tell you if the text was written by an AI or not, and how much of it like already exists on the internet. So I can't think of the list offhand, but there's, if you Google like AI copy check or AI copyright check, you'll get like a bunch of, and most of them are free. So you can just like drop in your text there and then we'll check that for you.
Cool. Really so much useful information. So thank you very much, Seema, because this has been absolutely great. We haven't finished yet. We are going to have a look at the visibility with ChatGPT, how we can use it for growing our visibility. But yeah, definitely so much information. And what strikes me every time again, there is so much that you can use ChatGPT for. And a lot of people are just thinking of the copyright or maybe a marketing plan or anything like that, but you can use it in every aspect of your life. It's just incredible what you can do with it. So yeah, that's really super interesting. Yeah, let's have a look at Sally's case. Sally is a client of mine. And
Yeah,
I
let me
gave
just share my screen again. Yeah, we gave her a task to come up with some information about herself. I copied that here. So I think she's a clinical aromatherapist, which is, by the way, Sally, I have to tell you, I'm slightly obsessed with aromatherapy right now. So I'm very interested in knowing more about you. But she's written about her style, and then she's got like ideas for courses and then planners and things like that, and things that she wants to sell, things that she doesn't want to sell. Petra, any like specific uses that we want to like use ChatGPT for her?
Well, we can think of lots of stuff. Where a lot of my clients are struggling is coming up with content plan. So what to post, because a lot of them know that they need to be much more visible than they actually are, but they are blocking on content ideas. So that already is one of the main things to have a look at.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do this blind. We've not tried this. I'm telling you guys right now, we haven't tried this out at all. So we're just going to play with ChatGPT and see what it gives us. So I'm going to put this in here. And I'm just going to say, give me a.
I think I'll cut us both out and put just a screen up. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I put this in a ChatGPT. I'm just making sure that it understands that who I am. And again, I'm hoping that it's not going to be too slow. Okay, cool. So it does understand. All right, perfect. So it understands me. And then I also want to tell it who my person is. Wait. Okay, so it told me that, yes, I understand. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to look at like Sally's thing here. And she says she likes to talk about dogs and maybe like dogs and aromatherapy. So maybe I'll ask ChatGPT, give me ideas for 30 days worth of carousel posts, Instagram, talking about how you can use aromatherapy with your dog. Now, I don't know if Sally actually does work with dogs, and aromatherapy, but I'm just going to put it in here and see what it gives me. And it might take some time, but you can see it's spitting out these ideas. Now, it may not be stuff that Sally wants to talk about, but it's going to give her a jumping off point. So something like introduction to aromatherapy for dogs, how can it benefit them, the basics of essential oils and how they work. I think any dog owner would be interested in things like how to select high quality, safe oils, how to properly dilute them, precautions to take. And then it's like going to specific oils and how you can use those with your dog. So it's giving me like a bunch of different ideas for ways that I can create this content for my audience.
Sally just says, hi, Seema, that's so funny that you chose that. I am trained to use essential oils with dogs.
I love that. We must be connected somewhere, Sally. But so you can see this has suddenly given you a whole bunch of things that you can talk about. And now some of these you might say, I don't actually use that, but some of them you might. So maybe something like let's say using essential oils to calm an aggressive dog. So give me a 10 slide carousel for this. And then I'll just put this in here and ask it to give me a 10 slide carousel and see what it comes up with.
It's funny because I see that you don't use the thank you, please, etc.
No.
I'm one of those people that is actually saying thank you and could you please give me, etc.
I do that sometimes, to be honest, but I think it's because I'm just forward facing with you guys that I'm doing it this way. Now, I'll be honest, personally, I don't know if I have mastered the art of like writing carousel posts, or I don't understand how much information to put in a carousel post, because I feel like this is too much for one carousel. I would probably just put, I would rename this to maybe like 10 or 10 essential oils that you can use to calm your aggressive dog. And then I might do like types of aggression or safety precautions. And then I would just do like one slide per oil and just like one tip per oil. And then I would do that. But so that's where I'm like coming back to personalizing this and making it your own. So I probably wouldn't use it in this way. I would definitely like modify this a little bit. Like I might do like a whole carousel on using lavender essential oils to calm my aggressive dog. And then I would give it like 10 points around that. So you definitely have to like modify this a little bit based on how you like to create content. Okay. Anything else, Sally, that you'd like some help with? Like, let's take like a course that you want to sell, right? You want to say how to use aromatherapy to reduce stress and anxiety. We might say something like, I want to create a workshop on a 90-minute. I'm going to say 90-minute workshop on how to use aromatherapy to reduce stress and anxiety for women in their 40s. Can you help me name my workshop? Because that's probably the place that I think everybody gets stuck is, can you help me name my workshop? And then it'll give you some ideas for the names that you want to create. You might ask it for, so it'll give you things like Aroma Bliss, how to use essential oils to reduce stress and anxiety in your 40s. Serenity Now, a workshop. So it gives you like Zen and Zest. Like I would never have thought of that, but I thought that's a cute name. So it gives you like some really fun ways to like play and name your workshop. And again, unless you're like planning to copyright this or like sell like millions of copies of this, I think it's okay if somebody else has a similar name, but you can obviously double check it. But I play with it. Like I will say, oh, I love Zen and Zest. But then I would like to use something like, I'll use Zen and Zest and a comprehensive guide to using essential oils to reduce stress and anxiety for women in their 40s. So I will like mix and match when playing with the workshop. I might ask for like, what can I upsell at the end of this workshop? And it will give me ideas for things I can promote at the end of this workshop. So even if it's a paid workshop, I can ask it for upsell options. And then I could like keep going back and forth with it. So it gives me like ideas. So you can sell a starter kit. You can sell a consult. I know you don't do one-to-one consults, but you can sell a consult. You can sell a blending workshop. You can, and some of these you might be like, these are great. And some you might be like, this is terrible. And that's fine, because as an expert, you know what you can create and you know what appeals to your audience and what is doable.
And what you could do as well for these posts is ask for suggestions of images to use, maybe.
Yeah. You could go and say, okay, awesome. Let's say I'm going to just copy this. Can you give me image ideas for each point? And I'm just going to put that in here and see what it gives me. And so it's giving me different things that I can create or look for. And then I could go to sites like Unsplash or Pixabay, or if you use paid stock photos, or even Canva, and I could look for this.
So or if you're in my course, you take them yourself.
Oh yes, if you're in your course and you have a dog and you can manage to make your dog relax and look beautiful in amongst things, then you can go ahead and do that. But again, if you were like, if you weren't in Petra's course, or you like wanted to modify things, you could just go in and like look for this image of a dog in a calm state and see what you get. And sometimes I'll be honest, like you might get things that you're like, this is horrible. My dog is so much cuter. And then you want to like take Petra's course, but here we have like a cute dog, and so we could use that in. And I agree that this is really where a lot of people get stuck, especially with things like carousels and creating images for social media. I think it's actually very handy to use it this way.
I have a question from Sarah Dave Young. Is it good for products? I sell personalized gift hampers, baby pamper well-being hampers. Is it good for products?
In what way? It would be great for, I think, product descriptions. I've not used it for that, but I know there's tons of courses and people that use it for product descriptions, but we can try and we can say, okay, I have a product-based business that sells custom baby hampers. I have a $97 bath essentials kit for a new baby boy with calming. We're going with essential oil, lavender scents, and oatmeal to soothe babies. Again, you can tell I have a baby, right?
Yeah. I forgot about
me. Write me a product description for this hamper. Make it appeal to new moms who want to pamper their little of joy. And I've never used it for product description, so this is us flying blind. And we are also doing it in Sally's stream, but it's fine. So again, it can be it's saying introducing our luxurious bath essential kit for baby boys, specially curated for new moms who want to pamper their little bundle of joy. Our kit is filled with all the must-have items to create a calming and relaxing bath time routine for a baby. And then it has like all of this stuff. And again, I didn't put any items in here, but you could have done that and said, here are the products that are included and the value of the products. And here's like any bonuses or like extra stuff that's in here. But it's giving you like, honestly, I don't know if I could, even as I don't know if I could have written anything better than this if I had a website selling baby hampers. So I don't know if that helps you in any way.
I think it looks great. It does.
Yeah, I would use this.
And it can maybe come up even with product ideas. I mean, if you're a product-based business owner and you need to come up with a new product every 2 weeks, maybe you can just use it for that.
Yeah, so it could be like, give me ideas for a subscription box for new moms, or let's say for expecting moms. Each box goes once a month for 9 months and includes 5 to 6 products. Give me 3 months worth of box ideas so that it doesn't take too long. Sorry, Sarah, go ahead. What was Sarah's question?
Sarah's question is, would it work for me for social media posts and real ideas?
Yeah, 100%. Sarah, what is your business?
It's the personalized gift hampers.
Oh, personalized gift hampers. Yes, exactly. So, okay. So Sarah, here's an example for you, like the product-based business. Like if you wanted to create a subscription box, you wouldn't have to overthink it. You can ask ChatGPT to do the work for you. All you'd have to do is release source all of these and package them up and put it together. But it's literally giving you month by month different ideas for like a box that you could put together and sell. So if you wanted like product combinations or bundle combinations, it can do that. So, okay, let's go back to okay, here we have, I have a product-based business that sells custom baby hampers. Give me 10 real ideas that I could create around baby essentials and gift ideas. Now, I am honestly real ignorant. I've never created a reel in my life, so I have no idea if this is going to give us anything that's worthy or not. But I'm just like flying blind here and seeing it. Petra, if you know anything about reels, you can vet if this makes any sense.
I must say that I have a hard time reading, but
I'll read it out. So it's giving us ideas like show a behind the scenes look at how you curate and create your custom baby hampers, showcase the variety of products that you offer. So you can do like different products, create a reel highlighting personalized gift options, share the benefits of each product, have an unboxing experience. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Collaborate with a clothing brand and show how you incorporate their items into your hampers. Create a reel with tips on how you put together your own hamper, eco-friendly ideas, talk about how your hampers make the perfect baby shower gift or new mom gift, and then talk about how to repurpose the packaging from your hampers. Would have never thought of that one.
Yeah, and I think these are really, really great ideas. One thing that I would like to add to this is that it's really important that you think about the connection with your dream audience. So everybody, if you are creating ideas like that, you have to put in the information about your dream client. So what are they looking for? What are their emotions that you are appealing to? And ask ChatGPT to work with those and to give ideas for that. And for instance, the unboxing reel is really good because that creates connection, that gives you the feeling immediately of, wow, I'm going to unbox and I see all the surprises that are in there. So you are really provoking emotions. And I think that is really important for your reels and your social media posts.
Yep, exactly. I like that. Another thing that you can do is whenever you get stuck, ask for questions. Like this is what I tell people for courses as well. So ask ChatGPT, like give me 10 questions new moms might have about picking a body wash for their baby. And then just create content that answers these questions. And so let's see what ChatGPT tells us. It's going a little slow. So what ingredients should I avoid when choosing a body wash for my baby? So you could do that as a carousel post, a standalone post, a reel. Can I use regular soap on my baby? Or do I need a specific body wash? And you can have like a contrast post around that. Should you choose a body wash specifically formulated for, like, these are really good questions that you probably won't think of because I think it's like that expert's curse that we don't think of the beginner questions people ask. But these are questions that moms might have, which is like, should I use a 2-in-1 body wash? Like, can I get the one that says it's shampoo and body wash, or should I have like a separate shampoo and a separate body wash for my baby? And then you can like go down that rabbit hole with ChatGPT and just answer these questions with keeping in mind what you want to sell.
Yeah, and this shows that how deep it can it can give you ideas. I mean, these are things. It's just spitting out so many wonderful ideas that you can use, and you can really use this for any business that you have. Any like Sally with her aromatherapy. I have Jade, who is in crystals, for instance, healing and crystals. You can use this for anything, for your coaching business, for babies. You can use it really for everything. And I think the thing that is really important is finding the right prompts and making sure that you use your tone of voice and that you give it the information about your dream client. So using those emotions and falling back on that, and then you make it really authentic. I'm just stunned by what ChatGPT can do. It's
exactly,
it's
and then
every time again.
And think about it this way, Petra, like even if we had this set of questions went to 2 people who have a shop about selling baby products, the trusted baby brands that I would maybe feature are going to be different from what the other person would write about. I might have a different opinion about using a 2-in-1 shampoo and body wash. And so even though these are questions that people are asking, the answers are your answers. So you might say, yeah, it's absolutely fine to use essential oils on your baby. In fact, it's encouraged. It helps them with relaxing and it helps their skin and it's so good for them. Somebody else might say, no, fragrances are bad. You should not use anything with essential oils in it. It's until they're like 2 years old. And that's where you're adding your personalization and your own content to this, because you're making it about you and what you want to talk about. So same thing with like, if we go with Sally's example, she talks about stress and anxiety from the angle of essential oil. So rather than saying, what are 10 questions people have about using peppermint oil? We can say, what are 10 questions people have about using peppermint oil for anxiety and stress specifically? And then these are the questions that people might ask, which is like, does it work? Are there any side effects? Are there any risks? What about medications or treatments that I'm taking? How long does it take to work? And then she can answer these questions rather than just talking about peppermint oil from a generic place, which is, again, there's tons of information about peppermint oil, but there's not that much for stress and anxiety. There's not about, and then you can get as specific as you can. So you can say peppermint oil plus stress anxiety plus maybe launching, because maybe you work with online business women. And so then you have a completely custom set of questions or content that you can create. So you can like be as niche as possible when creating this.
I don't want to send us into another rabbit hole where we can...
I know. I'm sorry. We do have to wrap up. So if we have any last minute questions, I have to actually go make dinner. So unfortunately, ChatGPT cannot do laundry, fold laundry, or make dinner. The day that it can do all of those things, it can have all of my money.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I want to touch upon is keywords and hashtags, because these are all wonderful ideas, but it's really good if you know what keywords your dream clients are looking for. Oh, we lost Seema. Oh, gosh. Well, we lost Seema. I hope that she's popping back on. But so saying keywords and hashtags are really good if you are looking up keywords that work for your audience, what they are looking for. Then you can give those into ChatGPT and make sure that you have articles or questions that you can answer on those key points, keywords. So Seema is, she's popping back on.
So sorry. I don't use StreamYard, and I was trying to actually stop sharing my screen, and then I ended up hitting leave the studio by mistake.
Yeah, no, I thought, oh, wow, she's gone. You have 2 questions. One from Priscilla. Yeah, she asks for an example, but Priscilla, I am going to do a session. I have my visibility help sessions in the group, and I'm going to do the next one on ChatGPT. So please join me there, and I will take your example up in that session. She's saying, I'm a wealth mindset coaching and wealth financial strategies for entrepreneurs is her business. So we'll definitely have a look at that in my next session. And Sally is saying, thank you, Seema. You've just given me a fantastic idea for an online course.
Yay!
So there you go. There you go.
Awesome. My work is done. I've earned dinner.
So anybody, if you have any more questions, just pop them inside the Facebook group, and I'm sure that Seema is willing to pop in later on. And otherwise, you can find her. I will put her link, her website, in the comments as well. So thank you so much, Seema. This has been amazing. Yes, thanks. That's from Priscilla.
Thank you, Priscilla.
So thank you so much, Sarah, as well. Thank you so much. So a lot of thank yous from everybody. You have done a wonderful presentation. This was so very clear and gave us so many ideas. So thank you very much. And this is a good one. I guess this is Kathy. I can't see that yet, but I guess this is Kathy saying, I'm still not fully sold. but I can see some potential possibilities. Yes, that's Kathy, because she is a bit, what's the word? Not entirely convinced of ChatGPT, but and that's more about the copyright questions than anything else.
I
But
understand. And again, I think education is power. So, and it's one of those things, you don't have to use it. It is like you don't have to run a business using ChatGPT if you don't want to. But if you feel like this is something that can help me, then go ahead and play with it. And if nothing else, use it for stupid tasks that have no relationship to things like copyright. Like, who cares if ChatGPT adds emoticons to an email that you already wrote, or formats a table for you, or organizes a list into categories, or plans a birthday party for you? Nobody cares about those copyright issues. And so go ahead and use it for those things that don't matter to you, and then save the things that are like your bread and butter, or the things that you're like, this is the stuff that's my gold right here, and I don't want to tell anybody about that. Then don't put that into ChatGPT at all. So again, don't have to use it, but if you did want to use it, start like tiny small things, and then work your way up.
we have two more things. This is Karen saying, you opened my eyes to a whole new world of possibilities. Thank you.
Welcome.
And Anna is saying, thank you, Seema, brilliant talk. And even that scares a lot. I think, as you said, if we look at it as a tool to help us, it will work and make our marketing life easier. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. And Sally saying, great session. Thank you both very much. So
thanks, Sally. I'm waiting to see your online course. And I have to tell you, as an online course creator, ChatGPT scared me the most, because it was a thing that everybody talked about is, oh, use it to create your course. Use it to create your course. It can create a course. You don't need to like have anybody. And then I went in and I played with it, and I'm like, it's never going to, at least not now, it's not going to replace me. And people still need Seema in their lives to create their course. Might help them, that they still need a Seema if they want to do it right. And for the right person, you're still not going to be replaceable. So definitely go and have a play. Thank you all. Thank you, Petra, for inviting me. And I will be in the group later. So if you have any follow-up questions, make sure you tag me and ask me. And then, of course, Petra will drop a link to my website and also to our document. And so if you want to get that, go ahead and get that. It'll give you tons of prompt ideas and use cases that you can play with as well.
Thank you very much, Seema. And thank you to everyone for joining us, and see you in the next session. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.